Yes, guys, how you doing? Good morning. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. It's 10 a.m. It's an early one for me. Got a bit of a busy day today. Got to put out a few videos on Sean Butler TV and, of course, Football Inc., but also have things to do. So I went a little bit earlier. I hope you don't mind. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about obviously the game yesterday. I've got Lubo joining, maybe one or two others as well throughout the hour. But I want to sort of just talk a little bit about the fan reaction, because Twitter is split as ever on on performances versus outcomes, versus results, and what's important. Are we okay? Are we satisfied? Are we dissatisfied? Will we tolerate the sorts of football that's on display only when there's victories? Or are we okay doing this always away from home? Because away from home is a difficult place. Every game is difficult in the Premier League away from home. Every game is difficult in the Premier League, period. But at home, I feel like there is slightly more of a requirement, a responsibility to entertain than there probably is away from home. And so what's the solution? What's the root cause, absent waiting until January? Well, I've done some digging on some of the heat maps from yesterday and compared them to some of the other games this season with regards Bentancur, who I thought was fantastic yesterday. I thought Polini was very good as well. But when you look at the actual average positions throughout the game, and you see that in a nutshell, it seems like the tactic, away from home at least, but actually for the most part, the same thing occurred against Aston Villa and Wolves as well, where we were pretty frustrating to watch at home. And you see that the average heat maps of these DMs are essentially in line with the centre-backs. Then maybe the solution, at least to getting a little bit more support to the boys at the top end of the pitch, is to let the handbrake off. We've got Lubo joining us. Big up to you, Lubes. How are you, mate?
Morning. All good. Thank you. Yeah.
How was your journey yesterday?
Journey was okay. I slept half of it, particularly on the way back. We got back in 3 hours, I think. It was pretty quick. Motorways were clear. So, yeah, good day all round.
Did you hang around after the game, or did you get straight in the car and get out of Dodge?
No, we got out before the players came back. I heard Richalison was more interested in shaking hands with the Everton fans and giving one of them his shirt while the Spurs players were like clapping the away end. But
he did that last season as well, didn't he?
I thought that was poor. I think that was really poor. At the end of the day, wait till Spurs have finished with the fans and then moving back towards the dressing room, then go and see the Everton fans. Thought it was poor. But there you go.
I said that I saw the same last season when we lost 3-2, and I called that out as well, and I got like absolutely pelters for it for saying that he's more interested in doing that. Everyone was like, no, he actually went and did all the lap of honour, and then he did that afterwards, which it didn't look like that on the TV when I saw it. But he's obviously got a massive affinity, hasn't he, with the Everton guys?
Sure, but wait until the players are finished with the Spurs fans and moving away, and then do it. Anyway, outside of that, no, listen, he's getting the most out of what he's got. He's playing to his strengths, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. Another 3 points, 3 goals, another clean sheet. It's a tough watch, very tough watch. When the ball's going up front and they're not holding it up and we're losing the ball and it's coming back, and it's just repeated for 90 minutes. It's difficult. It's not an easy watch. Do
you think it's all we can ask for, though?
Yes, I think it is. I think it's where we are at the moment as a club. As I said, I think he's getting the max out of them. Definitely away from home. I think at home, I think we need to get Bentancur or whoever it is further up the pitch and linking more with the front four, because I think Frank will look at the respective records home and away this season. He's not going to be happy. He's not going to be satisfied looking at the home record just because we're third. Because the guy obviously wants, for me, he's a top coach. He wants perfection, and he'll look at it and he'll think, how am I going to deal with it? He'll probably deal with that on Thursday after the Newcastle game, and try and get players further up the pitch. I mean, we are fairly high up in terms of the way we the way we push up, but I think
we're not, mate.
I think
we're really not. I'll show you some of these.
Yeah.
So look, this is the
no in terms of the back line, Sean, we are higher up than you would expect. But
well, I'll show you this right now, right? So you're probably not wrong about the back line, but for me, and look, this isn't. By the way, I'm going to say this right now because I put this out in a few WhatsApp groups this morning, and the reaction has been a little bit sort of mixed, I guess. Some people are saying like, "Oh, you're complaining." And I'm like, it's not a complaint. It's just an observation. It's an observation, right? We're trying to sit there and think, okay, is all that matters the results? We're third in the table, and we're undefeated away from home. And it wasn't pretty, but you know what? Going to Everton and beating, going to the Hill Dickinson Arena, getting the first scalp that anyone has had at that stadium, doing it in fairly confident fashion, an unbelievable defensive performance from Tottenham, which, to the purist, if you're like, I see a lot of tacticos, Lubo, on Twitter, who are complaining about the model, right? The thing that's being employed at the moment. I'll come back to this in a second. Let me finish my rant. And but at the same time, they call themselves football purists, right? And so if you're a football purist, then you should also appreciate the art of defense and also appreciate the art of seduction and the art of taking advantage. Like there's a million ways that you can skin a cat, and it doesn't always have to be pretty to get the job done. And yesterday's effort defensively in the second half was one of the best defensive performances that I've seen from Tottenham for a long, long time. Like battening down the hatches, we shall not pass sort of thing. You have to appreciate and admire that. And away from home, personally, I couldn't care less. If we went away from home every single week and played like that and got 15 wins on the bounce away from home in a season, or 13 wins away from home in a season, absolutely fine. At home, I think there is a responsibility to entertain the fans a bit more because you're paying a lot of money to go and watch a game of football, and a game of chess every week that's boring as hell isn't going to command a £90 price ticket. Would you agree?
Yes, but I also think, Sean, that he's building it block by block, isn't he? So maybe the next step will be, okay, let's loosen the handbrake a little bit at home. He'll be looking, and listen, we're just being. I don't want people to think, oh yeah, we just won 3-0 away, we're third in the table, or you're moaning, complaining. We're not complaining. Can you imagine if we'd have had a half decent home record, where we'd be in the table?
Yeah,
I think
the Aston Villa game and the Wolves game. I mean, look, Wolves were absolutely decimated yesterday. Yeah. Killed my Aka. And by the way, we'll talk about this towards the end of the show. But yeah, John Textor, old boy Johnny boy, he's looking to buy Wolves now and to slide them into his multi-club ownership model. The model, of course, which prioritizes bringing top talents out of Brazil into European football for decent money. And look, it's a decent model, and it seems to be working with the way they've worked with Nottingham Forest. Wolves is obviously a club that has a historical pedigree of bleeding in Portuguese players and things. So there's a lot of that kind of like Hispanic element already in. We'll talk about Wolves later. But with regards Tottenham, Lubo, what I was going to show you was like, for those people that are saying, I want to see more. I want to see more in the way of attractive football. And then the counter to that is people that are saying, we haven't got the personnel to do it. What more do you want? I disagree, right? I think that the way that some people are kind of presenting the argument is that our midfielders are absolutely shocking and that they're only capable of parking the bus and they're not capable of anything else. Like, I agree that we need someone better. I agree we need a better all-round passing midfielder, or like a box-to-box player. And Berghvall isn't there yet. When he first came to the football club, his peripheral vision was incredible, but that seems to have been trained out of him a little bit. Pape Sarr, for whatever reason, we'll speak about him. He seems unhappy. I think someone put in the comments just now, something happened, a really tragic story happened to one of his teammates in his homeland. So that might have been why he was so upset after the goal. But what I wanted to show you, Lubo, is this, right? So, where is it? So these are the heat maps, yeah? I'm not sure you can see this all on the screen. So that's Kevin Danso's heat map and Micky van der Ven's heat map for the game. Essentially places them just outside the box for the main part with the ball. and Micky van der Ven slightly more. Obviously, those heat maps right back deep is from the corner kicks and things, or from when we were low blocking late. But that's where the red maps are there. If you now compare that with, how do I get this in? Hang on. So Rodrigo's heat map is essentially in the same spot. All these spots up in the top here, this is when we're having set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it feels to me like if the majority of the game, Rodrigo Bentancur, who's playing in a double pivot, is essentially staying in the 6 role in a double pivot. And by the way, I looked at this. It's a very similar story against Wolves at home. Very similar story against Aston Villa. Not the same story against Leeds. Whoever was playing. Not the same story with Burnley when we had a completely different midfield 3. At Burnley at home, I think it was Sarr, Berghvall and Gray that played. Yeah. And their heat maps were far more advanced. Now, you could reverse engineer this and just say, well, the reason why they're more advanced is because we were playing a more attractive football and therefore it tells the story it's going to tell. But ultimately, if Bentancur, if his majority of his heat map is sat in the 6 role and he's the more advanced of the 2, and yet Palhinha is the guy who, if either of them are slightly more advanced, it's Palhinha. You can see on this heat map here. It's a bit of a disparate heat map, but they're essentially in the same positions as the centre-backs. And it feels like they don't have the license to move forward when we have the ball past the halfway line. And that creates its own set of problems. It essentially abdicates all of the responsibility onto Xavi Simons, who feels very isolated. Like when he gets the ball in space and is driving into forward areas, there is nobody there from the people behind him to help. The only options that he have is Mohamed Kudus, whoever's playing off the left. And yesterday it was arguably him that was playing off the left and drifting more narrow, and you had Kudus and Johnson both on the right hand side. But when people are saying like the pressure's being piled on Xavi Simons, and at the same time I hear some people going, Bentancur isn't, he doesn't work. Well, Bentancur had the best performance I've seen from him in months and months and months yesterday.
Yeah, it was
defensively.
Yeah.
But there has to be a connector. There has to be someone that is going to connect. And I think that Bentancur is the guy to do that. But people are saying that we don't have an option. We do in Bentancur, but Bentancur is handcuffed by a tactic that essentially says you hang back, you don't cross into the opposition half unless you're coming from a set piece, a throw-in or a corner kick. And that's when we cause mischief. So to me, it's like, it's one thing to do it. I don't mind us doing it away from home, but to sit there and say that the reason why we can't do anything else is because we don't have the players, I think that's nonsense. I think we do have them. It's a by design tactic from Thomas Frank to be more stabilized and to not lose than it is to try and snatch a goal here and there. But that sort of football, it's only acceptable if we win, Lubo. If we don't win, the chaos will resume within the fan base.
Well, I think people have got to look at it and just understand that, we were 70. I said the other day on one of the shows, any other club that had finished 17th and they were 6th, which we were before the weekend, people are saying, blimey, that manager's doing a good job. Well, now we're 3rd. And, you look at the teams, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Man United, that were above. And you've got to be happy with it, and it's step by step. I think, let him build week by week. Players will start coming back from injury. I'd like to see at home, I'd like to see 3 at the back with Porro and Udogie as wing backs. I think that would give the extra support to the front boys. It was interesting yesterday to see him playing Kudus slightly more infield, because I personally would like to see Kudus starting in a 2 up front with Moani. I think it'd be a very good partnership once Moani's up to speed. What,
like we did against PSG?
Yes, that sort of system. I think that's where that worked. That worked because you had runners, you had people like Sarr covering every blade of grass in that match. But I think, until we get strength up, until we strengthen the forwards, I think we need to be looking at who are the best players, technical players that we can play in whatever position. And I think Porro and Udogie are very good wing backs. Mwani and Kudus are very good technical players. Simmons is a good technical player. So there's 5 to start with. You've got Romero with his passing out from the back. So you've got 6 out of 10 there, which is So for me, use the strengths. We need more technical players because we keep losing the ball. The amount of possession lost is far too high.
But I think that most of the time we lose the ball is happening in the midfield transition. And I think that's because, for me at least, part of my observation, and agree or disagree, is because the 2 in the midfield, and again, people think if you're talking about someone and it's part of a broader how can we be better, then therefore you're criticising. I haven't been Bentancur's biggest fan since his injury. I think he's lost a half a yard of pace, not that he was ever that fast anyway. But yesterday I thought he was phenomenal. Defensively, I thought he was brilliant. He got stuck in. I thought the contribution in the set pieces was fantastic. But if you are sticking those 2 players just in front of your centre backs, and you're essentially not giving either of them license to roam, then what happens is, in order to break, the reason why you're giving the ball away so far is because you have to spray the ball 20 yards in the pissing rain, 25 yards to get it forward to somebody. In this case, it was Xavi off the left, but it's been Odebear in the past as well. And then when those guys get the ball, the reason why Kudus is, like, in no small part so celebrated is because he is someone that is set up with his physicality, his sort of sticky glue. He can handle that side of the game. But the others, I feel like Xavi's running into space and looking around and expecting somebody to be making a run from deep behind, overlapping on one side or the other, and it isn't there because Bentancur and Palhinha are being asked deliberately to to sit back. I'm not a criticism of them. It's not even a criticism. It's more of like a critique, I guess, of is part of the reason why we can't play good football. Is it just because we haven't got the players, or is it because the tactic is like locking people into certain positions? And when I see Kudus when he gets the ball and he stands still and he knows that he can beat a man from a standstill start, takes the guy down the byline. He's looking for a corner because he knows that when he beats the man and it doesn't go for a corner, there's nobody in the box. So one of the adaptations that I think will happen, like an Eddie Howe will probably be aware of this, and Eddie Howe will probably say, I know it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but Tottenham are most dangerous from set pieces, from corner kicks. So when Kudus does break away, when the ball is fed to him, and then he's got a one-on-one with the fullback, don't block it. Because if you block it and it goes out for a corner, that's when the cavalry arrive.
Well, I'm not sure you can teach a defender to do that, Sean.
You understand the logic? I'm not.
I understand the logic, but you can't.
The logic is like every time we toss the ball in, there's nobody in the box, so it's easy to defend unless it's coming from a set piece.
Well, I think finally, can I just answer Harry D? He's got a mate who wants Frank out, boring low block. Harry, tell your mate to have a look at to watch the games. Spurs do not play when we're attacking. We play a very high line, probably even higher than Ange did. But the difference is that the fullbacks are in position and everybody's in position, rather than when Ange played it. He was inverting the fullbacks, which was leaving the 2 centre backs on their own. So it did look much more open.
This average position of. Bear in mind that this is over a 90-minute spell.
Yeah.
And so, like, the average spot here, like this, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but this red mark here is basically pronounced from the second half. I was watching this during the game. In the first half, when it was more open, he was up here, which is a super high line. But it's only because in the second half, we had a bank of 5 and a bank of 4 that were, for basically 45 minutes or 40 minutes. And so most of this part of his heat map was created in the second half. So you're right, he does have a high line, but if you're going to have that high line with a centre-back and Bentancur and Palhinha are essentially in line with him and Danso, it's just a weird thing to see a high line centre-back, but also a super deep lying double pivot, neither of whom get forward in open play. It's just it doesn't really, like, usually if you're going to have a deep line double pivot, you'd also have deeper lying centre backs, but they like the centre backs seem to be more.
I think the other thing also, Sean, is that we scored the second goal in added time, didn't we? At the end of the first half. So Everton have got to throw everything at us second half. They've got to really push and push and push.
True.
And if we'd have held the ball up better, we'd have probably scored quicker than we did. We're scoring in, when was it, the 89th minute? And we cut them apart. Again, lovely ball from Porro. Nice cushion header.
He's on, mate. He's on. He's such an unbelievable outlet, isn't he? But against Villa, he was just absolutely shocking. Was it a Villa? No, sorry, Monaco. He was absolutely shocking, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I think we talked about negative, not negative, just how to improve for home games. But going back to yesterday's match, I thought defensively it was excellent. I think you've got two very, very talented players in Ndiaye and Grealish, and they didn't create too much, did they? They didn't cause
Ndiaye had Jed Spence on toast in that first 20 minutes, didn't he?
Well,
I was really concerned because I thought it was the right decision, even if Destiny Udogie was fit, even if he was fit, knowing how good Ndiaye is. And I love Ndiaye, by the way. He was on my list. He's on my list of 6 wingers that Tottenham should try and get. But if knowing how good he was, I was like, even if Udogie was fit, it's the right decision to play Jed Spence because Everton have got one of those right wingers that cut in on the left, and you want to.
Interesting listening to 606 on the way home. There were Everton fans ringing in saying that Ndiaye shows a lot but doesn't shoot. Doesn't shoot anywhere near enough, and they're all moaning about that because he doesn't take his ability down, to the final parts. It's great to get the ball, and he's making space and he's creating problems with the way he goes at fullbacks, but doesn't actually shoot as much as they
old, so it's not like he's that young anymore. But he is he's a quality player, mate. He's unbelievably.
It's just the one, Sean, in the 3rd minute. That was it. After that.
Is that all it was it really? Oh, okay, fair enough.
He only went past him once. Simmons did drop back. They were doubling up and they were forcing him back. About
Xavi Simmons. Xavi Simmons does do more graft than the typical flair player, doesn't he? He gets back. He's happy to get stuck in, and he's actually fairly good at dispossessing people in duels as well. Yeah, I really do rate him. I just think he needs more support, and I think that people are like questioning him, but asking everyone, like, I think there's a hell of a lot of point scoring going on in the fan base right now, Lubo. I think everyone seems to have like a take and they want to defend it, whether it's about Bentancur being great or about Bentancur being shit, whether it's about Xavi Simmons being, give him time, or no, he's just not doing it enough yet, whether it's about, I don't know, Odebear or whoever, take your pick. Thomas Frank especially, there's a hell of a lot of point scoring. If there's an opportunity to say "I told you so," people will take it in very short swift.
Yeah, I mean, next week 4 months for Frank working with the first team. So when you look at where we are, you just think, right, the first 4 months are going to be the most difficult 4 months because he's just picking up what was left over from last season. He's looking at players. He's got to integrate new players. He's got to integrate new players. He's also got to bring in his system and teach the players his system and get them acclimatized to it. So for me, it can only get better. It can only improve because the more he works with them, and he's not getting that many chances because we've got midweek game after midweek game at the moment. So I think what Billy T said on your show was right, that it's being in the Champions League regarding training and getting the team ready and used to the system has handled it. But of course, you take the Champions League every year, wouldn't you? So
in an ideal world, to extend that point, I think it must be very rare for a team to have elevated their the competitions in which they're participating in, and at the same time have a new manager. Like most of the time, a new manager comes in when you're playing less football or an unexpectedly or an unacceptable lower level of competition.
And Sean, which teams in the Champions League from all the other countries finished 17th or 4th from bottom or just above the relegation zone in their league? Right. None of them. Yeah. None of them. So we weren't a team that you would think are ready for. We're not a Champions League team. Our league position last season showed that. But
I think our league position was a false position though as well. I genuinely do think that. I think the squad. Let me just change the Sav's coming in. Let me just change the background. 1 second, Sav. I do that. There you go. Gosh. Big up to you, Sarah. How are you, mate?
Morning. How are we doing?
All good.
Good. Just trying to dissect the various takes, of which there are many, always.
By the way, does anyone know if Johnny's got home yet?
No, I think he spoke to. He texted me. He texted me a minute ago saying he's shattered. I think so.
I did like his updates. I didn't quite work out what all of them were, but all I could gather was he wasn't home.
He got home. He got home at 1 a.m. He said.
Oh, nearly 2 hours after we did.
Oh,
wow.
Oh God, no.
But listen, he walked out of the stadium, and he was like, "It was all worth." He goes, "It was 7 hours or whatever to get here, and it's always worth it when you win." So Johnny's super pumped. Looking forward to getting his take later on. So I mean, I've asked Lubo's generally quite measured as always with his like overarching stance on where we're at. It's a work in progress. How are you feeling about it, Sava?
Listen, I'm delighted. I'm delighted. I think for the players he's got, I think he's overperforming massively. We're better with goals per game. We're better with goals against per game. We're better with clean sheets. We're better with points. We're better with wins. We've got less defeats. I get it. Everyone's really upset because we don't look like Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. But I think if you had offered this to anybody at the beginning of August before a ball was kicked, I think the whole fan base deep down would have said, "God, yeah, give me that." I feel like we've got three different variations in the fan base at the moment. I think there's those that understand what we are and how well we've done. I think there's those that don't want us to do well, whichever way you say it. There are those that didn't want Frank, maybe wanted the old manager and don't want to do well. And then you've got those in the middle that, for me, it is trying to nitpick too much for me. So yeah, I'm really happy. I like the manager. I love his interviews, his press conferences, and we're way above what I thought we would be.
Yeah. But I think I'm probably someone that doesn't have, I wasn't. I was definitely Ange out, so happy in that regard. I wasn't someone that was like, yeah, get me Thomas Frank. I'm like, okay, if Thomas Frank is a dry market, I didn't see us getting somebody else, so I'm not like attached to the opinion of it. Like Frank has to be a success story, because I think there are elements of people out there that are also sort of attaching themselves to opinions on both sides, right? The people, you're right, Sam, but there's 100% there's people that are not happy regardless. There's people that have got their, it should have, and should never have been sacked. Therefore, I can't wait for Thomas Frank to slip up so I can be right. I think you had the people also that wanted Thomas Frank and that were probably on the receiving end of a lot of hate from people who wanted Ange to stay. Maybe someone like yourself. I think Johnny as well probably gets a hell of a lot of hate from people that are that were Ange inners, if you like, or are Ange inners. And so then as a consequence of feeling the hate every time Thomas Frank doesn't have a great performance or doesn't have a great outcome, and then those people come right back in, it makes you more, entrenched in your own opinion because you want to back your guy a bit more because of a little bit of resentment towards them. And I think sometimes the conversation moves away from, or the opinions that people have move a little bit away from Tottenham and more about point scoring between the factions, if that makes sense.
Spot on. Do you know what? I think the key thing for me, someone's made a great point and said, look, we're second, but Bournemouth are third, but Bournemouth are second. The league doesn't mean anything at the moment. And I agree, right? Don't get me wrong. Sitting third in the table is a nice to have. I think if as a football fan, you can remove that emotion and look at all of the underlying factors as to what's going on, what he's doing with what he's got. Bearing in mind, this is a Tottenham team with a number of injuries, right? This is a number of injuries, and it goes to show you can have injuries, Sean.
Yeah.
And not lose week in, week out. Like you can have injuries, you can be hard to beat. I think that a lot of the fans need to work out what is it they want? What is it they want versus what is it they think we are? So at the moment, I get loads of people coming into me, Sean, going, yeah, but got to beat Bournemouth, got to beat Villa, got to beat Wolves. And I'm like, okay, but guys, by that metric, you wanted to have played 9-1-9, right? And be top of the league. Like, that's That's just not where we are with our squad. That's not where we are with, this isn't just new manager, Sean. Like, we all know this, right? In the summer, this is new manager, brand new coaching staff. We've now got a brand new director of football set up. A brand new performance director has just joined the football club as well. We're hiring a director of operations. You've got a brand new CEO in Vinay. You've got a brand new chairman, non-exec chairman in Charrington. I think everyone's got to remember that this is right at the beginning of, and I get it, we've had loads of false dawns. I get it. I understand why everyone's so impatient. But if someone had said we're going to have all that upheaval, and yet after 14 games of football, we've lost 2 of them in 90 minutes, I think most sane football fans would go, yeah, that's a good return. Listen, Sean, I'm like the rest of the people, right, by the way. I want to watch Spurs playing lovely, free-flowing football. But I also understand that takes time to develop. And also understand that we hired a manager that might not particularly be working towards that. He might not be looking at the free-flowing. He might be, right, listen, you know what? We're going to be a brilliant team by being hard to beat. And once I get better forwards, we're going to be superb on the transition. I don't know. But what I will say is this. Let me caveat, for all how much I love Frank and what he's done and what he's doing, doesn't mean I think we're just going to keep winning, Sean. And I think this is really, really important. It doesn't mean I think we're just going to rock up at St. James's Park and beat them, that we're just going to sweep Chelsea aside and Man United aside. We're going to lose games of football. I just think it's really important that we don't, every time we lose, like if we lose on Wednesday, and I'll be honest, at the moment, I probably think we will, because I think we will rotate. It needs to not be after every defeat that it's the end of the world, manager out, what are we doing? Is he the right man? I feel like we've just got to get a little bit of calm into the season and realise it's going to be, Lubo said this in the summer, it's going to be that. It's going to be ups and downs. So that's where I'm at with it.
It's been more ups than I expected, to be honest. It's been pretty good. I would have thought now we'd have maybe been on 12 points, not 17 from the 9 games. But for me,
if you extrapolate that out, right, that's a 68-point season after 36 games. You're like, if we continue this sort of outcome, you're on a 70-point season, right?
Yeah. Which from 38 points, you're virtually doubling your points total from last year.
Right. But this, do you remember this conversation we were having? We were having this conversation as soon as Thomas Frank came. We were saying, were we a 38-point team? A lot of people now are using that kind of like, look how bad we were 17th last year. I think we were in a false position last year because I think the tactics were mad. I think that the injuries were a factor. They are now as well, but they were then as well. But we were having the conversation around, if you remember, how many points does a Thomas Frank tactical improvement get you just as a baseline? Are we saying it's worth 20 extra points? And just by itself, right? Just from going from gung-ho to sensible, even with the same amount of injuries and the same amount of talent. And then you throw in a bit more talent, which we've got. Hopefully they're all going to stay fit for a long and get fit for those that aren't. And then obviously if you can then add a bit more from Thomas Frank's professordom, then hopefully we can get to that sort of 60, 65, 70 point marker. And I'm really happy with where it is. But Sav, I think you touched on the head there. Like, what happens if we then lose against Newcastle? Will the meltdown ensue? 100% it will. 100% it will. Even if we play better football, but we lose 2-1 on Wednesday night, but we play a bit more attractive, it won't happen. But even if we were to do it, that those that are saying that this football isn't acceptable and it's only just bearable because we're winning, those people won't then accept the alternative of playing better football but losing, because people were going to be moaning anyway.
Sure. But Stel had it right, didn't he? And Stel, if you're watching, it's very rare I'm going to give you credit live on another show, but Stel had it right. And he said, when you look at this squad, he said, something's got to give when you look at the 4 tournaments. And I'm watching players right now. I don't know about you guys. I mean, Lubo, you were there watching players right now. You can see like Kudus You can't run him into the ground 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes for the amount of work.
Missing. There was a spark missing, wasn't there, yesterday? Yeah. Because he's knackered.
And against Monaco, he looked like he was shattered against Monaco as well.
Right. So against Newcastle, right? For example, I think Perchie, for me, I think put the right team in last night. I think against Newcastle, I think you're going to see maybe a Paulinho, Bentancur, Kudus, these boys drop to the bench. And I think you're going to see your Grays, your Berghvalls, your, I think you'll see Gray, Danso, Johnson, Tel, Odegaard. Now that's fine. But then if Newcastle beat that, I think fans have to weigh up in their head. What is the importance here? Is the importance that we keep running players into the ground 90 minutes? Or is the importance that we say, look, the League Cup, away from home, Newcastle are, let's be fair, Newcastle are powerful. They are good at St. James's Park. Let's not make any bones about that.
Yeah.
But Sean, when the team sheet comes out on Wednesday, there's going to be changes. And when there is...
There will be changes.
People will lose their mind. They will, because this isn't an 11 anymore. Football isn't an 11. Football is a squad. And hey, maybe I'm doing them a disjustice. Maybe Berghvall, Gray and Sarr playing centre mid and Tel, Odegaard and Richie start up front and we win. I don't know. But I'm not expecting anything from Newcastle. I'm not being defeatist. I'm just not... I'm not pinning my...
If this was a league game, would you expect anything from it on Wednesday?
If it was a league game, I'd expect us to be much better if we put out the full strength 11. Yeah.
Sure. No, that's what I meant. But would you expect anything with a full strength 11?
No, not really. It would fall into the bracket of a point at St. James's Park would be magnificent.
Sure.
Right?
So anything we get is a bonus on Wednesday.
Should we be deprioritising the Carabao Cup?
I think they will. I don't think
should we be deprioritising?
Yes. I don't think he's got a choice. A friend of mine spoke to one of our sporting directors on the plane going to Monaco, who said to him that we haven't got a squad to compete on four fronts. So you got to take from that. So
what? But why deprioritise the Carabao Cup when we're not going to win the Champions League? But if you get past Newcastle, you're in the quarterfinals, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You get past Newcastle, you're in the quarters. Yes, you are.
Isn't it a victim of circumstances? Like when the game... I don't think it's about what the competition is. I think it's about when the game falls. We've just played Villa, Monaco, Everton in the space of 7-8 days. You then got Newcastle, you then got Chelsea, you then got Copenhagen. The problem is, if he went full strength, Sean, for me against Newcastle, then when you get to Chelsea...
Yeah, then you've got to drop players for Chelsea.
People would go, but it's Chelsea.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I hear the logic. I just think that, for me personally, I think the Carabao Cup is a more difficult trophy to win than the FA Cup or the Europa League, if I'm entirely honest. Obviously, the Champions League is the hardest, but just because the FA Cup gets its own dedicated weekends from the third round until the quarterfinals, whereas the Carabao Cup, you squeeze them in midweek in and amongst your European fixtures as well. So you're by the time the FA Cup comes around, you've already finished at least 7, if not all of the midweek games of the Champions League phase. And then it gets its own dedicated weekend, right? Whereas the Carabao Cup, like I say, you're playing, Tottenham are playing, I think it's 7 games in 22 days or something stupid. This period we're currently going. It's madness. And the Carabao Cup for me is a trophy that I love. I love the Carabao Cup. I always get excited by it, and it sucks we got that draw. But if we can get past them by hook or by crook, and we are undefeated, by the way, away from home this season, so
well, I just think it might be one too many, Sean. I think we've got to make peace in our minds that whilst we are the best team in the country, by the way, away from home, in the country, not just the Premier League, we're the best team in the country, right? That doesn't last forever, does it? Do you know what I mean? Someone is going to beat us away. And if it is Newcastle, let me ask you this. If I ask you right now, lads, who do you prefer to beat? If you can only pick one, is it Newcastle or is it Chelsea? Chelsea at home keeps us massively in the top 2 or 3 in the league.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd take a win on Wednesday and a draw against Chelsea.
Would you? See, I think the league points are way more important for me.
Well, I think the other thing to also consider is that a trophy is important for the club. You see what it's done for Newcastle. I mean, it's just galvanised the whole.
But is
town.
it as important now, Lubo? Now the fact that we've got that monkey off our back 4 or 5 months ago, is it like I know we want to win a trophy, but it's not like if we get knocked out the Carabao Cup on Wednesday, I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, Spurs haven't won a trophy for 5 months." Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's interesting. I think the other thing to also consider is that we need revenue to go out and have the money for better players. I saw a report that gave up to this week just gone in the Champions League. They listed what clubs were earning. We have earned 46.12 million so far.
Yeah, I think half of that is from. So you've got 20. Is it 17 or 21 million that is like your participation amount?
And then
you get 7
draws. Yeah,
I think it's something like 750 grand per every draw and like 1.8 million for every win. So we've made something like about 3.5 million quid from the campaign prize money thus far, and then obviously you have your the TV money as well, right? So yeah, it's probably around 40 million quid, something.
So that's gonna be important as well. You know, and next week against Copenhagen, in terms of qualifying for the playoffs, that is key. That is absolutely.
We have to be Copenhagen
because we've got 3 very tough games with PSG, Dortmund, and Frankfurt. Are not going to be a ride in the park, and anything we get is going to be a bonus. Frankfurt are very good at home. PSG,
Dortmund, you say?
Dortmund at home, Frankfurt away, and PSG away. So those 3 are difficult, very difficult games. Copenhagen and Slavia Prague, you would expect to win, and then you've got 11 points. So that'll be enough to get you into a playoff.
12 points last season was just got you into the 23rd position, something like that, wasn't it?
Don't you think though? I think this is what we're going to see, and I think it's always as the season goes on, you realise what your squad is and what your depth is, and how good you are. Right? I think what we're seeing at the moment is we're about to come into that period where we play a hell of a lot of football. And this is where I think a lot of us are going to realise what we haven't got in the squad. Unfortunately, this is only my opinion, only me. I don't speak for anyone at Tottenham Hotspur or anyone on the Spurs 5. This is my opinion. Unfortunately, I think the problem is once you start removing 2 or 3 of the better players, the drop-off for me is absolutely huge. And I think that is the big difference.
We've already lost 5-6 first-team players, though, Sam.
I agree. Hence why I think we're
still capable of putting out a team that I look at and go, see, like, I agree with you in principle that we absolutely need a better left winger. And I want to talk a little bit more about the left foot, right foot dynamic because I do think we're seeking out set pieces. And so you've got Kudus. I spoke to, just before you joined, I spoke to Lubo about this. You've got Kudus who gets the ball on the right-hand side and then stands still and then beats the man. And then he's like whipping the ball in, looking for a corner kick because that's then the trigger for everyone that's currently being held back behind the halfway line to move forward. We on the left-hand side, we're currently we're asking Udogie to do more. But what Udogie is doing more of is trying to take a player on and cut in on his right foot, which is a little bit more akin to the Sonny style. But if we are a team that is looking for set pieces, as I said, I don't expect. I posited the suggestion that someone like Eddie Howe would be smart enough to figure out that we're just looking for set pieces. We're looking for corner kicks, and so when Kudus does whip the ball in, it usually doesn't go anywhere because there's no one in the box. So almost like let him whip the ball in rather than giving away the corner because the corner is more dangerous than the cross, right? And so someone who's a tactical, very very intelligent, analyzer of Tottenham's form might actually identify that and say, if they're on a quick break,
sure.
Go on, Lubo.
I tell you what was a plus yesterday for me with Moani, his run down the channel and forcing the corner, that brought about the first goal.
Yeah.
You don't see Richie doing that.
He's a very very smart player.
You don't see Richie doing that, and for me, he was in and out of the game, Moani. There was a most gorgeous back flick that put Simmons in midfield that was superb. there were little bits and pieces that you saw Mwani do that you can see as he gets fitter, he gets faster. He's lasting longer in games. He's going to bring so much more to the forward line, and that was and balls into the channels for him to run into.
Yeah,
it will negate some of the problems that we've got on the left hand side.
I hear you on that.
Not all, but
I kind of got a little bit off. Sorry, Lubo. Sorry, mate.
Go on. I'm done.
Sorry, mate. I was going to say, with regards to like Saba's point, with regards to like the expose of how little depth we have. See, I disagree. I'm coming at it from a different angle. I think the fact that the depth between the bench and the first team that we've had this season thus far, I'm excluding Decky, I'm excluding Maddison from it. But like the midfield, I think that there's none of them that are massive standouts. Sarr and Berghvall are a little bit too similar in the profile at the moment. Bentancur's obviously a different sort of midfielder, but I think he's being a little bit handcuffed by being asked to stay back. He's done a brilliant job yesterday. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought it was his best performance I've seen from him for a year. Yeah. And I used to love Bentancur pre-injury. Before he did his ankle, I thought he was a wonderful player, but I've sort of haven't felt like I've seen enough of it recently. But I genuinely do think that Tottenham's the gap between our first team and our bench is actually shallower than it ever has been. We're overarchingly weak in certain areas. Like we are weak at the forward line, we're weak in the left wing spot. But the difference between like an Udogie and a Johnson or a Mathys Tel is not that big. The difference between a Sarr, a Berghvall, a Bentancur isn't that big. The difference between a Romero and a Danso, for example, isn't that big. And so I feel like we're already showing our depth, and I think our depth is actually not that bad. I can't wait if we ever get to a situation where we only have one or two injuries and we actually have Takai, Dragusin, we actually have Udogie, Spence and Porro all to pick from. We actually have Solanke, Mwani, Decky and Maddison. Then I think Tottenham's first 11 will look really, really, really impressive. But I don't really subscribe to the idea that our depth is poor, because we're already...
I look at it from a different way that you do, because I don't think Berghvall, Sarr, I don't think these players are that good. So I think that when they come on, I think you see a real decline in the way we play, in the way we keep the ball, in the way we do everything. I agree with you at the back. I'm not worried about centre-half. I think Danso, for me, I'm going to say it, I think Danso's a better defender than Romero, but he's not a better footballer than Romero. I know that will get a lot of people going.
Fucking same. I love Danso.
Danso is a proper centre-back. No frills. None, because he doesn't bound out with the ball and spray 70-yard passes. But I trust that man implicitly. He's not up and down. I think of all the games I've seen, I think he had a really poor game against Bodo. I think we can agree on that. But in general, does his job. So I'm not worried about that. But the problem is, I think... Sorry. The problem is, for me, is when you don't have any good left wingers, of course, there's no drop off from one to the other.
That's what I mean. I think we can all agree that we need improvements.
Yes, I agree with that.
We are generally weak in areas. Like we are generally weak on the left. We're generally weak in the 9. We're generally weak in the midfield, in my opinion. I think we're generally pretty strong at the back line.
We're missing a lot of profiles, Mitchell, right? That's what I think it is. I think we're missing a lot of profiles.
Yeah.
So when you put a squad together, if you've got 5 or 6 midfielders, you want 5 or 6 different profiles of footballer, right? That you go, this is my DM. This is my destroyer. This is my box to box. This is my goal scorer. This is my creator. This is my conductor. We seem to have got a lot that do the running around a lot, box to box, put in a shift. But I don't know if we've got, I know we haven't really got that one that puts his foot on the ball and conducts. At the moment, we're struggling in the number 10 position because Xavi Simons is not, let me be polite, he's not firing on cylinders.
I think he's looking at the tactics that are being employed and thinking, I'm being scapegoated here because I can't, there's nobody to support me. When I'm bringing the ball in. And again, the point I was making about, with regards seeking out corner kicks and seeking out set pieces, if that's the tactic, and I don't hate it away from home, I don't mind it occasionally at home or whatever. I do think there is a responsibility as a football team to entertain a little bit more than we are. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not like one of these people that says it's unforgivable to not play better football than we're doing. I'm fine with where we're at. So just take this on the principal shallow surface I'm saying it, that there is a kind of more of a responsibility at home to play better football than we are in possession. Away from home, I'm absolutely fine. But if we're going to do that down the right-hand side where we're seeking out corner kicks, on the left-hand side, we're currently playing players that want to drift in. And so you're not going to get that balance. If the overarching outcome is we're going to hold the two central midfielders back, the double pivot back, the deepest double pivot I've seen for a long time, bar maybe Real Sociedad's Zubamendi and Mikel Merino from 23-24 season. That was a deep line double pivot. But on the left-hand side...
What happened, Sean? I do think the football will... I think at the moment we've got a lot of things that aren't right. And what I mean by that is, if we look at Bournemouth, for example, who are... In patches, they play some really good football and they're very, very, very good on the transition. But if you look at Bournemouth in the transition, Bournemouth have had these players for a long time in that forward area. You know, they've had Semenyo there a while. They've had Brooks there a while. They've had Tavernier. They've had...
Didn't Brooks have cancer?
Yeah.
How long has he been back since he had cancer? Was it 2 seasons now he's been back?
Now? About a year he's been back, maybe? I don't know.
But what story that is.
When you watch them, they're used to each other. They're all up to speed of the game. When I watch Spurs at the moment, there's a few things, and I think this will change and develop over the season. Mawani not being fit. So, yeah, I think Lubo was right. Mawani did some really great things yesterday. But I'm sitting there before the game going, I wonder if he gets 45 or 60. What will we get out of him? And you could visibly see that the tank had kind of gone as the second half began. Once he's up to speed, once Simmons gets up to speed, once you add the left winger that we're missing at the moment, that's 3 massive components.
Yeah.
If you add that all in and everyone's up to speed, I think we look a lot better. At the moment, when you've got all of those cylinders not firing, it's going to look a bit disjointed. It's going to be very much on Kudus. So I get why Thomas Frank is doing the defensive double pivot, if you like, make us hard to beat, be strong in midfield and hope for transitions. But I said this the other day, imagine what we saw yesterday. Imagine on the transition, instead of the players we've got, you add Cunha, you add Mbuemo, right? You've got the centre forward that holds the ball up.
It's all about players, isn't it? So it's all about players.
Suddenly you look at a very different team, Lubo, don't you?
Sure.
You look at a different team. So
I think what he's done, what Frank has done up to now in 17 weeks that he's been there, is he has come in, he's organised us, he's got us disciplined, he's got us structured, he's got players playing mainly in their correct positions. I know people turn around and say, well, Gray's not a left back. That was an odd game. We've got a bit of strength in depth. You know, for me, we've got 3 fullbacks to cover 2. We've got 3 centre backs at the moment to cover 2. We're short with cover for Polinia. We've got 8s galore. We've got no cover for a 10. We've got no 11. We've got a 7, but no cover again for Kudus. Yeah. And in terms of a 9, well, for me, I personally think that when they're both fit, I think Solanke will come in as the 9 and they'll play Mawani left. I think that's how he'll play it.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
Or maybe Mawani in the 10 as well, by the way. Mawani's got enough flicks and tricks and creativity.
But then you're short on the 11. You're short on the 11.
Well, this is the point I'm making. Right? Xabi Simons was shoehorned out there yesterday. It was a weird thing. Kudus, I mean, I know it was very fluid and dynamic, but like Kudus and Brennan Johnson were both in the centre on the right and Xabi Simons was on the left. It was odd, wasn't it?
Well, we were looking first few minutes, and a few of us said, you know, you've got Johnson on the right and you've got Kudus in a line behind him and further infield. So he was playing Kudus more as an inside forward, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Playing Johnson wide. So for me, that bodes well. If he does play a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2, you can see Kudus playing in a 2 with Mawani.
See, I would love to see us do that against Newcastle, right? Flip the switch and go to the PSG format again against Newcastle. But unfortunately, we can't do it because we don't have 3 centre backs that are fully fit.
But I think what he's doing is that he's getting the most out of what he's got. And
Would it be fair to say, Lubo?
We're well short at the moment, but what he's got, he's saying, right, I'm going to maximise, potentialise what I've got. And this is where we are. We're 17 points from 9 games, which is absolutely brilliant. 4 or 5 more.
And I think we've got the second best goal difference, right?
Yes. I think we are.
I've got stats coming out of my backside if you want them as to how amazing he's actually performed. But
I do want to hear them, Sab. I do want to hear them. Let me just quickly do this super chat, and then I want to hear those right now. By the way, guys, there's 470 odd people here. Love to see it. Please do smash the like button for me. It's really simple to do. Hit the little drum the thumb. Really appreciate it. Helps out. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. We are back at 37,997 subscribers.
Sure.
So 3 of you. I've been trying to get to 38,000 for the last 7 weeks.
And who can be the first to subscribe? Come on.
Every single time I get to 37,999, it drops back down to 37,970 for some reason. I swear their shenanigans are afoot. If we can get to 38,000 today, that would be absolutely
me, Lubo, Johnny, and Stel. Every time you get there, we all unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe, 100%. Yeah, you little gits. Big up to Blaine Dev, my man. I hope you're okay, buddy. Thank you so much. 5 Spurs Talk Show memberships. I'm thinking about doing a members phone-in show tonight before the Spurs 5, guys. So if you were a recipient of one of those 5 from Blaine, then first of all, please say thank you, and second of all, go to the post section, I think it is community section or whatever of the channel later on tonight, and you should see the StreamYard login code to come in and tell us what your thoughts are on Thomas Frank. Yeah, but please do hit the like button, guys. Really appreciate you. Sorry, Sabby, I want to hear these stats, mate. What stats you got for us?
No, I just think it's interesting. It's funny because when you actually look at, and there has been meltdown. I sometimes people say that's dramatic, but there has been meltdown. I'll be honest. I was watching you, Sean, on. Don't worry, I'm about to praise you. Don't worry. I was watching you yesterday on the Irish Hotspur. Big up to Dave and Jack and all those lads. Honestly, I thought I was watching a show for a team that were about to go into a 6-point relegation battle. Like it genuinely felt like, we're Wolves and West Ham, right? It genuinely felt like that. The way everyone was talking and going, he's got a few games to sort this out. And you're like, what?
I did feel a little bit odd.
What are we talking about here? So after the game, I had a little look, and of course, my Skybox isn't connecting to my router. Thanks, Skybox. That's brilliant. We'll deal with that in a minute. And after the game, you see, Tottenham Hotspur have got the best record in the Premier League at defending set pieces. We've conceded the fewest goals in the league from set pieces. Right? We've scored the second most from set pieces. So we're in the top 2 for both set pieces categories.
Amazing.
Right? We've scored the most amount of goals in the Premier League. A couple of other clubs have got the same as us, but I believe let me just double check this. I believe if I look right, Spurs have scored the same amount of goals as Man City and Chelsea. Right? Bearing in mind that Man City have the best striker in the world, give or take, in their team, and Chelsea have spent 75 billion in the last 2 years, I don't think that's bad. Right? We've got the second best defence, right? The second best defence. Only Arsenal, who we know have the best defence in Europe. Europe, by the way, I hate praising them, but it's true, right? Only they have a better defence than us, right? We have got 4 clean sheets from 9. Last year we got 6 in the season, Sean. 6. We got 4 from 9. And when people say we're not missing players, we're currently missing 2 of our back 4. We're currently missing Udogie and Romero. We had to play Archie Gray there in midweek, who's a midfielder. We've got the what was the other one? There was some really, really good stats. Yeah, this as well. This was sent to me this morning. Goals per game from last season was 1.68. Goals per game on average this season so far is 1.88. Now, bearing in mind we lost all of our GA from last year. That's not bad. Goals against.
That's actually a really important point, and we shouldn't understate that. How many GA have we sacrificed from losing Maddison, Decky, and Sonny? It was like 55 or 60, wasn't it? GA last year from those 3 alone.
Yeah, 63, I think it was.
91.
GA, I think was 89. It worked out
89 for Decky, Maddison, Son, and Solanke.
Yeah.
So he's got
and Solanke. Sorry, it's Solanke as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Got goals against, right? This is the big one. 1.71 last year. At the moment, we're at 0.77.
Yeah.
Right. So we're averaging what? Less a goal less per game. right?
Yeah.
And clean sheets last year was at 15.7%. And right now we're at 44.4%. Like, if you take all of those things, it doesn't mean that's going to continue, Sean. Because if that continued, we're talking about being in a title race. But, but all of that, surely most fans should be looking now and going, what a bloody good 3-4 months this has been from Thomas Frank and his staff. And he's, look, I really liked us at the back. I liked us. I liked the first half. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. And we got to work on it. I think he's brilliant for this football club. I really do.
I don't disagree. Like I really like him. I love the fact that he says all of the things that I'm thinking that I want to say, but then he also drops in things that I haven't even realized that I feel that way, and he's saying them, and that's great because he's the guy who's paid a lot of money to be the expert. But it also reassures me that I feel like I'm not a lunatic, because at times with Ange Postecoglou, I was thinking a certain way and he was telling a story and telling it well, because he was a great wordsmith, that there was a completely different way of, analyzing what I've just seen. And sometimes like you sit there and go, wait, what? He's the expert. I'm not. So am I really that bad at reading a game of football? Because that's not how I saw it at all. Whereas with Thomas Frank, he basically says how most of us see it, right? I think the only concern is when he says, well, not concern, but when he says things like the only bad performances was against Bournemouth, and then the second half against Monaco, and the second half against
Wolves.
Right? And then you kind of go, well,
he forgot Bodo.
I think you've got the Bodo game, and I think that, but like I say, there are purists within the Tottenham fan base, and I am to a degree. I wouldn't call myself a purist, but I am someone. I've always maintained this because I've had these debates with Stel. I've had these debates not in person, but like with the league gunners of the world who kind of who say like nothing else matters, right? It's very black and white. A season with a trophy is successful. A season without is failure. That's all that matters. It's elite sports. Success is all that matters, and so by hook or by crook. And I'm like, and my opinion has always been, yeah, that's fine to the people that are participating in those tournaments, the actual footballers, the actual team, the actual owners, the actual manager. But like, you're not someone that gets your hand on the trophy. You're just a irrelevant observer of other people's success or failures. You're part of the journey, and you have a little bit of a say with the the energy that you can bring to the stadium and things. But generally speaking, I want to watch football to be entertained. And also, if you're shaking hands with the reality that Tottenham aren't going to win the title, they aren't going to win the Champions League, then is it acceptable to play ridiculously horrendous, horrifically boring football in an effort to scrape a 1-0 win, unless you're going to...
Or are you building from that? This is the problem. Or are you building...
But that's the assumption.
He keeps telling us, though, but it's not the assumption. He keeps telling us, build that. He's like, that foundation is paramount. The problem is, I get it, Sean, but the thing is, football fans think that good football just happens overnight.
Correct.
Now, again, what good football is very different to you, to me, to everyone, right? But as I said, from where he picked us up from, and for the profile of players we've got, I don't think we're going to play ridiculously brilliant football. What I do think we will be is a very good team on the transition that are hard to beat. Now, some fans are going to hate that. Some fans will hate that. Other fans think that's the way to play. But I'll ask you this. Who in the Premier League plays good football? Who are you watching every week going, you play good football?
At the moment, the game has gone. I know that phrase is the game has... Like, not only is there, I've never seen as poor a standard of player. The caliber of world-class players that is thrown around. Don't get me wrong, there are still world-class players in this generation that are top draw, but there's very few. But generally speaking, like the players that are going for 50, 60, 70 million quid, even if you take inflation out of it, the sort of the top 2% of players around the world that are moving clubs, they're not fit to lace the boots of the people from the 90s and the early 2000s.
For sure.
I think the other thing also, just talk about what Frank's doing with what he's got. We don't have an out-and-out prolific goal scorer. Our 17 goals have come from 10. If you take out own goal against Brighton, you've got This is the list of players who have scored this season. Micky scored 4. Richie's on 3. Paulinho and Sarr are on 2. Johnson, Berghvall, Tel, Bentancur, and Kudus have all got 1. And then you got
is Micky van der Ven our top goal scorer? Did you say
top goal? These are Premier League goals only.
Yeah,
Premier League. And I think Micky's got 1 elsewhere. I think got 1 against PSG as well, didn't he? So Micky's our leading goal scorer, I think, on 5.
I fucking love Micky van der Ven. You know, I would turn for that man. I swear to God. Let me.
Every other song yesterday was about him. But yeah.
By the way, Lubo. By the way, you do realise that in all the games we've played, only 5 teams have scored against us. We've only conceded in 5 of the 13 games we've played, or 14.
That's insane.
And 3 goals away from home, we've conceded in 5 games. 2 at Brighton. So,
and both of those were via mistakes. It wasn't like we were carved open with beautiful football.
No, they were bad. In fact,
should we have a little word about Vicario? Because
I
think both of those goals against Brighton, I think that the large part of the zeitgeist was saying that his positioning was horrendous for those. But in the last 2 or 3 games, Vicario has gone back to being an unbelievable goalkeeper. Like, if you're going to sit there and defend like beavers, like we did in the second half yesterday, occasionally something's going to get through. But you got Vicario with his instincts. Like, I don't think there's another goalkeeper in the Premier League that is as good as he is when he doesn't have time to think. I think when he has time to think, you know, I still think when he comes flapping for corners and stuff, like yesterday I watched 4 or 5 times from corner kicks that Everton had. He was sort of jumping into a melee for the ball, got nowhere near it, and that will get punished at some point. But in terms of shot stopping from close range, and even the one that was like, bearing in mind it was pissing with rain, like horrendous weather, and
it was
the wind was whipping in off the Mersey and all that stuff. It was like absolutely horrendous environment. And that shot that I think it was
took a deflection as well. The one that
took 2 deflections off of, I think it was one off of Danzo, and then it hit someone else's foot, and he gets down in, I don't know, like, you know,
just phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
And let me just add, because we're all watching, didn't misplace a pass out from the back the whole game. Not one.
Yeah. I mean, look, his improvement is in no small part responsible for where we are in the league, I think, and in the Champions League. I mean, the Monaco game, that on a different day, Monaco had 22 shots against us. I think like 8 of them were on target, and he kept them out. But there was about probably
9 saves against Monaco, Sean. There were 9 he made.
9 saves, right? On top of that, there was also mistakes, like where there was decent. I couldn't believe that PSG only had like a 2.3 GA XG in that game, because against Monaco, because even some of the chances where they ballooned them over the bar, when like I think it was Akliouche missed a couple of good ones and stuff. But
Minamino, didn't he?
Minamino as well. He missed a hat trick, didn't he, in about 10 minutes? You know, so.
Is it fair to say with Vicario? And by the way, look, I think first of all, we're all old and ugly enough to know that if we can critique a player, then we can praise a player, right? I don't feel it should be, I don't rate this player, I can never say anything nice about them. Vicario, for me, took a lot of stick, for me, rightly so, but has responded to it. And I think that's the key thing. That's what you want to see. What I liken Vicario to, he is like, you get those strikers that if you put them through on goal from the halfway line and they've got 5-10 seconds to think about what they're going to do, they're going to fluff their lines. That's Vicario. You put that striker in the box that has 0.5 seconds to swivel and shoot.
Yeah.
Right, that's Vicario.
Brennan Johnson.
When you've got time,
it's the Brennan Johnson effect, right?
Richalison.
But if you look, I think that's being very kind to Richalison. The worst striker I've seen at Spurs for decades. He's
so bad.
But Vicario for me is when you see a lot of the stuff. So, for example, a couple of the long shots that have come at him this year, where we're saying we're blaming him for, he's got time to view them. And he's like, right. And he flaps a little bit. Crosses, set pieces, corners, he does. But instinct-wise, fabulous. Now, for me, that's what I would like Spurs to work on him with, is just commanding that penalty area. Because if he can add that into his game, he's a top goalkeeper. But the problem is there's still times where it goes in the box and I'm like, oh, it's a. By the way, I have this same thing with God, he played yesterday.
Kinsky.
England.
Pickford.
Pickford, yeah, I couldn't think of England's number one. And Pickford yesterday. There's times where the ball comes in the box and you're thinking,
yeah, he's someone. He's got the bozo gene in him for sure.
How did Micky get above him for the second goal?
Whereas you look at someone like a Donnarumma, for example. Now I know he's a big bugger, but Donnarumma from set pieces goes mine, and he either catches it or the punch goes so far.
Yeah, sure.
I think if he can add that, but he's been absolutely superb the last two games. So as somebody who critiques him, I want to credit him as well.
Yeah, 100%.
That save,
his overhead kick. I mean,
that save for me was like the Lubo. You were probably alive for this. Like the Gordon Banks, LA.
I've got to tell you so. I'll tell you what that reminded me of. For any older viewers listening, Pat Jennings made a save from Tommy Craig in the League Cup semi-final in January '76 at the Lane. That was just out of this world. He caught it on the volley. It went about 70 miles an hour, and he got a handout. It was the greatest save I've ever seen from a Spurs player.
I think the average age, mate, of people that watch my channel is about 54. So they might have just about been around to have seen that particular moment.
Right. You remember those amazing saves that. For me, Big Pat he's always been my number one. But
I just want to ask you guys: are we giving Benson for?
David, I didn't see Ted Ditchburn. I saw. Did I see Bill Brown? I think I might have seen Bill Brown. That was the earliest.
Did we? Are we giving Benson Core the credit for meaning that shoulder assist, or was that because Gary Neville was like, I think he meant that. I'm not sure he did. I think he still ducked his head into it. I think he was, But either way, it's sensational.
He was there.
This is the thing. Just super quick. Training ground routines work for things like that, right? Set pieces, those sorts of things. Sava, when you're talking about trying to train Vicario to be better under pressure, I think there's some way that you can go to fix that on the training ground, but I'm not sure if you can ever quite recreate because I think he gets, when he doesn't have time to think and the pressure of the environment's on him, then I think he struggles quite a lot. And so I don't know if you can really recreate that on the training ground. I'm not sure if that's the problem.
That will be the difference between why I never think he's a really good goalkeeper versus being okay. And that's not a criticism. It's just some keepers have naturally got that. Other goalkeepers don't. And I don't think he's got that. So we take the rough with the smooth with Vicario.
Does he have the physicality, though, of a Donnarumma, of a Schmeichel?
I don't think so.
He's very light. He's very thin and wiry. And, these boys were built like brick houses, weren't they?
But the thing is, he also knows he's in an era where goalies get protected. He's in an era where he can come out through the crowd, and if anybody even sneezes on him, the referee's going to give the free kick to the goalkeeper.
He got his hand on a few punches yesterday from corners, didn't he?
He does, but do you ever? I never feel like it's. I don't know. I just never feel like it's gone.
I hear you. I feel like he's going into the area that he can access, whether the ball's there or otherwise. If the ball's slightly deeper, I don't think he has a fantastic ability to read the flight of the cross. You look at defenders like Virgil van Disney or Canate or maybe Micky van der Ven, possibly Vescovic as well when he comes back in. Certainly Dan Burn. These big centre backs that are able to. They're not only do they have the height advantage and they have the reach advantage when they do take a run from deep, but they also just see where the corner's going to be. They probably know the general area is going to be if the kicker is putting it where it's supposed to be. But their ability to time and run and read the flight is phenomenal. I actually think that Lucas Berghvall, for what it's worth, one of the first things I noticed about him, and I said it last season, was that he's going to be a really good asset in the air, because his ability to read the flight of the ball is really, really impressive. I don't subscribe to that for Vicario. I think that he sort of charges into a crowded space, jumps, and then if the ball's going to be there, it's more by luck than judgment sometimes, is what I would say.
You can coach that. You can improve that with coaching, definitely. I think I'm sure the goalkeeping coaches are working on all his weak points. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think that one of the key things you can see though is we have added physicality, and I think it's something we have desperately needed for years.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think he likes the Paulinho Bentancur double pivot in midfield. I think both of them are powerful lads, good in the air. You know, Kudus is powerful. By the way, Kudus, what a set piece that boy's got on him. What a corner kick. And Porro have got on them.
But we don't do outswinging set pieces anymore, do we? It's all by design. It's like I think we all said this, right? As soon as Thomas Frank came in, and then we saw the amount of transfer rumors around who we were going to get and when we were trying to get them, it all spoke to one overarching narrative. I remember saying it. I remember you guys saying it as well in different shows. It's clear that Tottenham Hotspur are going to try to take that advantage, those percentage point gains from something where we haven't taken it seriously over the last 2 years. And Ange Postecoglou fell by the wayside in no small part because he never took set pieces seriously, defensively or offensively. He was always worried about in play. But the game this season, not just Tottenham, everybody has pivoted towards set pieces. Everybody suddenly got a long throw. That Coyote at Brentford, oh my God, he's worth buying just for his long throw alone. And he's a good player, but the whole game has moved towards this kind of, I don't know, more Americanized, more like special teams kind of thing. And it's something that Tottenham are benefiting from.
Look who's top of the Premier League, right?
Yep. Sunderland, Bournemouth. Yep.
No, I was going to them lot, unfortunately, down the road. Right?
Arsenal, yeah.
If you look at Arsenal, right, and I'm sorry for everyone in the chat, but for all the stick Thomas Frank gets with not playing the good football and with not doing this, Arsenal, most games Arsenal are nicking by the odd goal. And by the way, I'm not knocking them for that. That is, who remembers, 1-0 to the, what was it, George Graham's team?
George Graham ball, yeah.
Was it George Graham, 1-0 to the Arsenal? Arsenal have got the highest percentage of goals this season from set pieces, right?
Yeah.
That's not right.
I don't really follow too much of Arsenal fan TV, Sarah. I know you're sort of more into the mix with. I know you do a lot of shows with people from other channels and things from other teams.
Less and less now, mate. I can't deal with it. But yeah, go on. I can't deal with the cooking nature. I can't deal with it.
Fair enough. But from your experience, I haven't got enough time to watch that stuff. From your experience, are the other fans winding up Arsenal content creators because, and even are Arsenal content creators satisfied with the style in which they're winning?
But I mean, look, everyone's different, right? You've got those fans that are like, I don't like. If you're an Arsenal fan right now, let's be brutally honest. You're 4 points clear. They don't look. I would say they don't look like losing. They never look like conceding a bloody goal.
Yeah,
They've had. Do you know? Here you go, guys. How many shots have Arsenal had on their goal in 9 Premier League games?
I think there was a whole spread in the Daily Mail today. I think they've had 1 shot on goal in the last few weeks.
They've conceded 8 shots in the season. Think about it. Vicario's making save after save after save.
On target or on goal? As in, like, shots. That's it. Shots or
saw it flash up on Sky this morning that it showed 8 because they were. It was Jamie Carragher was doing a bit on. He said the best player in the Premier League right now. He said is Gabriel. He said because Gabriel is a monster in both boxes, right? He wins everything in the air, and then they put up the stats of on 8 shots on target in 9 games. If I turn around and said to you, your team's going to average what's that 0.8 shots on target against a game.
0.88, yeah.
So it goes to show though, right, that for everyone going on about how long it will take to play good football and this and that, the other, Arsenal are the biggest team. They are the most physical team. If you look across their back four, Alafiori, Gabriel, Saliba and Timber, they are big lads. Now you've got Declan Rice, big lad in midfield. Yeah, Eze is a stocky, powerful lad, right? You know, Gyökeres is a big lad up top. This is where it's going, Sean. To your point,
you're right. Football's moving to a more
it is
about athleticism and physicality more than it ever has been.
It is. Yeah, and that's why I think Thomas Frank realizes. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think we need 1 or 2 little nippy ones. I think like we can get away without having a left winger who's built like a brick wall. Maybe more of a tricky player like Malik Fofana or an Akliouche. But in general, you've got to compete.
Yeah.
You have got to compete.
Is that a part of the reason why Xavi Simons and Florian Wirtz, players like that, are struggling to acclimate as quickly as people would have hoped? Is it because they're just a bit lightweight?
Possibly. Maybe they just need a bit of time.
I think it's the speed and the intensity, the difference between the Premier League and the Bundesliga.
Yeah,
I think the Bundesliga, you have more time to play on the ball. It's all about pressing, closing down here, athleticism. And I think they're struggling to find their feet at the moment. I'm sure. Listen, both are quality players. They'll both sort it out, but it takes time.
It's interesting. Sunderland have done so well in no small part that their manager's setting them up in a brilliant way. They had a wonderful window. I think most of us were saying they're going to stay up, right? Like it's clear to me they were going to stay up from their window before the first ball was kicked. But they've also bought some really physical players, and I think there is this notion right now that the teams with the physicality. You look at Newcastle, you look at Aston Villa. Yeah. They were probably ahead of the curve on that trend, bringing in players that like a couple of years ago. Harry Redknapp used to love it, didn't he? Back in the 15 years ago, 20. Harry Redknapp used to love, African guys that are just super fast and super strong and super tall, just because if you can't beat them on technicality, you would beat them on physicality. And in his world, he was trying to keep his teams up most of the time before he came to Spurs. But these are, I think there's still that general trend, right? That sort of technicality is good, but sometimes physicality is the method in which you can just body and bully games, and I think it's a thing that everyone's inheriting right now or adapting to.
I think just touching on Sunderland briefly, I think what's incredible there is they brought 14 players in.
Sunderland,
which phenomenal to integrate 14 players.
Some really good experience. When you actually look at what Sunderland bought, they bought some really, really. Xhaka. I know. Sorry, it sounds like I'm an Arsenal fan. Xhaka, what a signing for Sunderland that is, right? If you're coming up to the Premier League for the first time and someone says, right, that's going to be your bloke in midfield, you're happy with that. But I think you're absolutely right. Players like, we've got to remember as well, players like Xavi Simons and players like and Wirtz, I think it's difficult because Wirtz is getting a lot of the heat. Wirtz has walked into a Liverpool team who are not firing. They're not playing well. Simons has walked into a Spurs team which don't have all the square pegs in the square holes for him to link up with. Maybe that would have helped. Maybe him joining after the season started. I'm not going to get on his back, Simons. I think he will. I'm not saying you guys are, but I think he will come good.
Same, 100%.
Some players we've seen. Look at Sonny. Look at Sonny's first year. Sonny's first year, people are going, what is this?
I also think, though, that Xavi is a big, and I think that you look at him, he doesn't look that happy. And I genuinely think that the tactics, and again, like you have to pick the tactics to suit the team, not the player. Like you have whatever your outcome is, if winning is what matters, and of course that is what matters. And right now, Thomas Frank is figuring this out in the process, building his foundations. But one of the sacrificial lambs of that method, I think, is a 10 that is a little bit lightweight. And he's obviously not that confident right now. He doesn't have the confidence to do what he was doing in German football. But I also think he feels a little bit isolated. I think when he gets the ball, there's not a lot of support for him around him. And then he looks forward and he sees the guy that he wants to give the ball to, he's being double man marked. He's got no option in the 9. And if he's playing in the 10, the guy on the left, doesn't pick the right option most of the time either. So, and then there's nobody from behind that's sort of making those runs. The only person that does make those runs is Berghvall. But Berghvall, when he's in, he does good off the ball work when we have the ball. But he doesn't.
Not think though, Sean? Do you not think though that once I think what we can all agree on, no matter what we think of players, Thomas Frank is not 100% happy with his forward line because it's been the one area of the pitch that has changed all the time. Realistically, he's kept the Bentancur Paulinho thing. He's kept the back four where he can. He's kept Vicario, right? The forward line, other than Kudus, is where we're seeing constant rotation, which tells you he doesn't know and which tells you we have no standouts. I think once we get to a more consistent place, if it is Mwani on the left and Solanke up top with Kudus on the right, if we have that free for 5-6 games in a row, now I think you'll probably start to see a little bit more relaxing from Xavi Simons. He knows who he's working with. He knows that. Now, that's not taken away from him. He's got to do better. But look at players like Luka Modric. Luka Modric, when he first came in, was absolutely written off. Absolutely written off. Harry then moved into the middle and it all changed. I just think I think that you can see it with Simmons. You can see the visions there. At the moment, it's the execution of what he's trying to do. It's not the vision. It's not the ability. I think he needs a spark. I think he needs that 20-yard shot that rifles in the top corner that lights up his face. And do you know what I mean? I think he needs that moment in a Spurs shirt. And it will come. It will. But I don't subscribe to like a lot of fans that a player of that quality you write off after, 5 Premier League starts?
No,
I think
it's early days. It's very early days for these guys. It's funny, actually. It's a very, very competitive Premier League this year. I mean, can anybody out in any of the viewers, anybody commenting at the moment, can anybody remember the last weekend where all three promoted teams won their Premier League game?
Honest to God, I said that I hate doing I said this thing because it's everyone's revisionary, but I don't like being it, but I'm going to do it anyway. It was clear to me that
not like you, Sean. It's not like you.
I claim to be the angel, but really I'm the devil inside. I think the it was so obvious when you look at the ambition of the promoted teams, and then you look at the ambition of the teams that have got away with murder for the last 3 years with their own transfer policies, their own ambition of their own owners, that because there was no jeopardy of relegation. Right, the top three went down.
Their owners. You talk about us, Sean.
No, that's right. My chairman might be joining forces with John Textor to bring in the Wolves thing. No,
but you are out now, aren't you? So I understand.
No, I'm not leaving out. I'm not. I'm leaving. Come back. No, I'm not really. I don't care. Listen, I'm curious. I'm intrigued to see what happens in January. But I've got to be honest. Actually, forget about the. I'll finish the point quickly on the relegation things. Then I want to give you guys the last topic, and then we'll round off, if that's okay. In terms of the bottom three, for me, the bottom three put in enough ambition and they have enough of a base, a fan base. I think Sunderland are doing fantastic things. I think it's fantastic for the Northeast generally to have Newcastle and Sunderland. I mean, the next I'm not sure when the first Northeast derby is going to be. December. It must be coming up. When is it?
December, I think.
The first one, Sunderland, Newcastle, or Newcastle, Sunderland. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and fair play to them. I thought that of the other two, Leeds would probably, just because you always think that Leeds have got enough about them. Burnley, I thought, would go back down, but actually Burnley going away to Wolves and getting the points. Burnley, I think didn't Burnley beat Leeds as well 1-0 earlier on in the season? So like Burnley going about their business. They've also brought in a couple of really good sort of prospects in there. I think if you're someone like Wolves, if you're someone like West Ham, you're looking right now and going, shit. We're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble here. You know?
Yeah, but that's how our fans are talking. Our fans are talking like we are one of them. I had people in my chat yesterday, Sean, giving it this is a must-win game. You know, when you're like, well, what happens if we don't? Like what? Are we relegated?
on the Irish Hotspur, the guy Steve and Dave. Dave was getting upset with me. He was like, "You're putting words in our mouth. It's not what we said." I was like, I'm just reacting to what you're saying, and you're suggesting that you're invoking some scenario where you're assuming that we lose the next 4 or 5 games. You know, what are we doing here?
It's so tight, Sean. It's so tight that we were, before Everton, we were 3 points above 15th place.
Correct, but this is what I think Dave said this before the game. He said before the game starts today, we're 6 points from top, we're 6 points from bottom, or something like that, right? Or like 6 points separates. You know, whatever. I forget the point. Yeah. It can't be that, but there was some specific point, right?
It's only been 9 games.
Like, yeah, that's exactly what I said.
You can only be X amount of points away from anywhere at the moment. There's only been 9 games.
Right. Why are we looking at the window? Why are we looking at the table right now? It's madness because you can't be that far apart. There's only been 27 points that's been available, right? So the window's going to be tight, or the table's going to be tight until December, in all likelihood.
But do you know what, Sean? If the games, if the result pattern carry on like this, where you're getting more and more, I say, surprising results, unexpected results, should we say? coupon buster results, where the bookies are saying thank you very much, 70 points should get you top 4, which is what we're on schedule for.
This season, I think it will definitely will. Because there's just every game. There's so many upsets. There's so many teams that are taking points off of the teams that are in the traditional top 4 or 5. That I think that 65 points could be enough this year to be a Champions League player. 63 maybe, something like that.
There's 2 things I say every season. This has never changed. It doesn't matter who's in the league, who the manager is, what players, who I'm streaming with. First of all, the Premier League won't sort itself out properly until about 18 to 20 games. After 18 to 20 games, you will start to see, for example, Sunderland, magnificent right now. I don't expect them. This isn't me being horrible. I don't expect Sunderland will just continue doing this. There will be a patch where Sunderland lose 4, 5, 6 in a row. That's just how it works, right? After 20 games, and we're in and around Christmas time, January time will be 20 games, maybe beginning of
20 games is Palace on the 30th of December.
Lubo is like Stato.
Right. So by Christmas, right, the league will have sorted itself out in terms of who is down there in a relegation battle, who is realistically fighting for that top 4, and if we have a title race at all. At the moment, it's looking ominous, right?
It looks like Arsenal will be 10 points clear by Christmas.
But that's cream. And the second thing I always say is cream rises. Cream rises to the top. This is why we're so reactionary, i.e. lose to Chelsea. It'll be, but look, we're 3 points off 10th. But look,
do you know what it is? If Tottenham had started a little bit, if Tottenham were sort of mid-table by now, then a win against Everton would be super celebrated to go from 10th to 5th. And I'm like, wow, we're back in it. But the fact that we're in and around a title race, because we're 5 points off, if Arsenal win and we lose, the expectations literally shift. Because you go back to June, July, no one expected anything more than 6. We did it on the Spurs 5, didn't we? We asked people in the chat as well, like, where do Tottenham think we're going to finish this year, realistically, before the first ball was kicked? And the most optimistic person was 5th. 5th or 6th, basically. Yeah. And the people that were least optimistic were like sort of 12th, 13th. And yet, we're 3rd, but if we lose to Chelsea, because suddenly the title charge is probably over, all of a sudden it's super negative. Expectations and goalposts get moved every week, don't they?
And that's what people have to remember. This is one of the things I always have to remind myself of things. Whether we're 10th right now or 3rd right now, I have to remember what I predicted and the reason why. Yeah. Right? The reason why hasn't changed. The reason I predicted 6th was, first of all, it's a fucking long season, right? It's a long season. There are going to be spells where Spurs win 5 in a row. There will be spells where we might not win a game for 5. But I have to remind myself that these things have a way of leveling themselves out. Now, if we go and beat Chelsea and Man United, who are our next 2 league games, is that right?
Yeah.
We go and beat Chelsea and Man United. We set ourselves up wonderfully for a top 4 challenge. We do, because people will take points of each other.
It'll be top 5 this year. Top 5 challenge.
However, realistically, am I looking at Chelsea and United and going, right, we should easily rattle off 6 points? No. If you offered me right now, sorry, this sounds negative. If you offered me right now 4 points from those 2, I'll take it. 3 is not the end of the world. If you were going to say we're going to win 1 and lose 1 of them, okay, cool. It's not the end of the world. 6 is amazing. What you don't want to do is just rattle off 2 defeats.
Yeah.
But the way everyone's beating everyone else, even if we lost both back to back, just playing worst case scenario, how far down the table do people think we're going to go? No one's sticking 5, 6 wins together. So,
Manchester United, the geezer with the hair, he's I'm pretty sure Manchester United. Who have they got next? It's Tottenham next, and then it's Forest. So if they beat us, then Sean Dyche is stopping that guy getting a haircut for the first time in about 3 years.
Are they not playing next weekend?
Hang on. Their next Man United's next 2 games are
Oh, Forest.
Sorry, Forest first. Sorry, my bad. It's Forest first.
I was going to say,
and then it's Tottenham. And then it's like, so Tottenham will be the guy, potentially. It might be Thomas Frank that's stopping the guy getting a haircut for the first time in a few years.
By the way, don't, I'll use a phrase that the kids use. Don't sleep on Man United. Man United must be looking at this now going, what a wonderful chance for top 4 or 5. They're playing once a week. And that is, I don't think people realise.
It's such a massive difference.
And this is why when people say to me, oh, Savvy, you always forget Ange's 5th. I don't forget it, but reeling out teams once a week is very different to saying, right, manager, can you please rotate every 3 or 4 days? Yeah. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Look at their fixtures. After Forest, they got Forest and us away. Then they got Everton at home, Palace away. Then going into December,
the game's been postponed. Oh, sorry, it's been rescheduled. Yes.
December,
Everton, Palace, West Ham,
Wolves, Bournemouth, and then you got Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle. Before
they're pretty good until about the middle of December.
Yeah.
Man United could easily be in a top 4 challenge.
And then they got to start. They got Leeds and Burnley away to start the new year, and then they got City at home, Arsenal away.
They're only in 2 competitions, right? They're already out of the Carabao Cup as well. Yeah. So there's zero midweek games for them.
But look at their trajectory. Look at their trajectory right now, right? Everyone's going Amorim shit, Amorim this. They've won 4 out of 5 Premier League games, right?
Yep.
And the other night against Brighton, they just looked like they were going to open them up for fun. I think Man U are going to be right up there. I think Newcastle will still be up there. And I think, by the way, I'm not changing anything I said. Here you go, Sean. I'm not changing anything. When I said I think the top 4 will be the top 4, right? I.e. Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, in whichever way. I still believe that. And then I think the next 3 are going to be, the next 4 will be fighting it out, will be Spurs, Newcastle, Villa, and United.
100%.
Yes, Bournemouth are doing well now. Yes, Sunderland doing well. But I do think that those teams, as the cream rises, I think will drop down. That's only my opinion, but
see, Bournemouth haven't got Europe either, have they?
No.
But look at their next 2 games.
Yeah, they've got Man City and Villa.
Man City away, Villa away. Villa have got one of the best home records. By the way, my Villa, Sean.
Yeah, your Villa looking good, mate. You're looking
my
good.
My Villa all right, mate.
Looking very good. Looking very good.
You went early on my Emery, didn't you? You went early.
Hey, I'll take any chance I can get to wind you up, Sam. You know how it works, mate. You know the game.
It's all right. I mean, your opinion about Villa's been wrong for 3 years. It might as well continue being wrong for another couple.
He's got to be right, isn't he, Sean, eh?
Yeah. It's fine.
I'll tell you what, though. I watched that game yesterday. And again, Sean, you are 100% right. Villa, again, powerful. They were so powerful with Onana and McGinn and Kamara.
McGinn. Unbelievable.
Even Matty Cash, they've got powerful footballers,
I think they were ahead of the curve. I think Newcastle were ahead of the curve in this. It's not just the pivot towards set pieces. The set pieces thing is a consequence of the pivot towards physicality and athleticism. More so physicality. Everton, until yesterday, hadn't conceded a single goal from set pieces. Why? Look at the size of some of their players. Look at Idris Gueye. Look at their backline. Their backline is absolutely. Who is it? Let me get there.
But if you look at mid, I didn't see the game. Obviously, I was in Liverpool. But you look at Liverpool. Look at the team that City set up. They play 4-1-4-1. They've got Reinders in front of the back 4, and then you've got Bob, Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Savinho.
Little guys.
Which is no physicality there at all, is there?
Yeah. So and that's the thing. How are they going to handle? They went to Aston. Like you say, they went to Aston Villa, got absolutely destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised if they were to go to Everton or to Newcastle and have a real tough day, because they still play a style of football that is based around tricky technicality, fast paced moving, all that sort of thing. And they've got some of the world's best players at doing that, but in bad weather conditions, away from home, on a tricky surface, or in a just tricky environment with the crowd or whatever else, they're going to walk into some real physical duels. And they have, if you're going to go the other way and have smaller technical players, you have to have the very best. Yeah. You look at Everton, right? I remember looking at the back line yesterday. That James Tarkowski, He's an absolute unit. James O'Brien is a unit.
Yeah,
Mikalenko is a big fella. This guy Keane as well, Michael Keane. He's a big fella. They've got big players. Idris Gay, massive. James Garner. They have big.
They're missing a centre forward desperately, aren't they?
Yeah, if they had a proper centre forward,
they'd be a lot higher.
They'd be a lot
higher. Look at City's November. Bournemouth at home, Dortmund at home, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Leverkusen at home, then Leeds at home. So they've got
a lot of home games.
Swansea away on
Wednesday, and they got Bournemouth
on Wednesday.
In the league, they got Bournemouth and Liverpool at home, Newcastle away,
Dortmund at home, Liverpool away, Newcastle away. Dortmund at home.
Newcastle away, which is going to be tough.
Leverkusen at home, then Leeds.
You know why they'll be all right, Man City. You know why they'll be all right. I think when they, I think they've got Haaland, but I think when City are at their best, they've got either the power of Rodri or Gonzalez in midfield, and they didn't have either of them yesterday. But also Doku didn't play yesterday. Powerful. When you've got Haaland, you've got Doku, you've got Rodri, and now add in Cherky's just coming back. He's a stocky little fighter as well. I think they'll be all right. The problem is Arsenal have just got much better depth, and this is a complete opposite.
But I also think the game has pivoted. How can Manchester City handle teams that are looking for set pieces? Like when Tottenham play Manchester City, we beat them away from home again. I don't remember the specifics, but I'm pretty sure we must have been going after set pieces. Manchester City's concern surely has to be, how do we handle teams that sit in deep, that can frustrate us? That they need to go 1 or 2 up in a game to be able to feel reassured. They were outclassed, out physically dominated by Aston Villa, and they've got other teams. Sunderland are a big team. Sunderland are a really big team, right? They've got them coming up, and I just think that the game has pivoted. And it's like a pendulum. The pendulum always swings one way, then the other, and eventually.
I saw a City show yesterday where they were saying about it. Said, look, you've got all the trimmings around the edge, if you will, but you need the bones. They haven't got the bones. But look, it goes to show, though, doesn't it? This is why a lot of football teams are going down this route. Powerful footballers, big, powerful. And listen, in 5-10 years, it might shift again. It might move away from that, and it might
move away in 2 or 3 years' time. But the thing is that when you sign players to 5-year contracts based on short-termism, you need a mix. Right? You need a mix. Yeah. You can't neglect your technicality. You can't neglect if you can find a player that's a big lump that also happens to have quick feet. Someone like Josh Zirkzee, by the way, this is why I think that Josh Zirkzee is a player that will do better when he leaves Manchester United.
Agreed.
He's a big physical lump, but he also has a wonderful set of feet on him. He's got very light feet, like twinkle toes. And by the way, Decky will be someone that will thrive in this environment once he gets back, because the game has moved. And when we get Decky back into a Thomas Frank system that is looking for set pieces, that is looking for that kind of physicality, he'll be someone that will add a lot of value to us, because he's someone that's big, strong, physical, that can shoulder charge people out the way. Yeah. But he also has this peripheral vision that's quite unique for someone who's 6'1", who can sort of run with his head up, always looking for the pass, but also keep the ball under close control. If you can get that blend, that mix of physicality with technicality, then I think you're onto a winner in the current environment in football. And I think
Maddison as well.
Players out there that Tottenham should be. Sorry, Johnny. Sorry, Savico.
Maddison as well, not from the physical side, but the holding the ball side. Him and Decky hold the football. That's why I think. Listen, I'm not using it as an excuse because we're third. There's nothing to use the injuries as an excuse for. But I do think people are forgetting how many footballers are missing. But and
Romero's a physical guy. He's out. Udogie's more physical than Jed Spence or Pedro Porro on ad infinitum. He's out. Decky's out. Maddison, agree. Maddison uses his. He's the best
passer of a ball at the football club. That's what Maddison is.
And by the way, if we're a set piece merchant team right now, who's the best player at drawing free kicks in dangerous positions in our football team? Right. Obviously, Maddison's not going to be around for a year.
Have you seen James Maddison's passing on the Data MB?
No, it's class, is it?
Mate, it's phenomenal. This is the problem. This is the problem that we don't have at the moment. So when they're all back, and this is why I always said last year, yes, injuries affect you, Sean. They do. but they shouldn't affect you to the point where you're finishing 17th, because you have to be hard to beat. You have to adapt. You have to change.
That was down to the system. That's why when people say, "Oh, Ange had injuries," and I say, "Hang on a second, that's irrelevant. Ange played the same system regardless of who he had. He didn't adapt because he had injuries. He never changed the system. We were wide open the whole time, which is why this year, other clubs have got injuries. There's plenty of players getting injured. More and more players. Clubs are losing more and more players because of the workload, which is ridiculous on players generally. But you get on with it and you don't complain because we're playing a proper system now. We have 5 players missing, in my opinion, who could quite possibly be first team starters. You mentioned Maddison and Decky, Solanke, Udogie and Romero. They're 5 that for me would start in our 11. So for me, we're missing half a team at the moment.
Here we are, 100%.
So
let me just quickly. Sorry, Lubo, give me 2 seconds, mate. Just get a couple of super stickers, and then I'll let you finish your point, Lubo, and then I'll move to the last segment of the show, which is what are the priorities in January, because January is just around the corner, and hopefully the work is being done right now. Houdini, my man Dean Law, big up to you, buddy. You started the super sticker train, and I'm going to give you the choo-choo to you, buddy. The choo-choo to you. My man, I went early this morning. Like usually it's Sabbath stream at early in the morning, but I've got a busy day, so I couldn't do any other stream any other time. I was wondering whether or not, because you are always there, Houdini.
He is the Haaland of Sean. He's the Haaland of super stickers, isn't he?
He is the Haaland of super stickers. He scores every single stream. It doesn't matter what the time, what the day, what the channel. Houdini is there doing his thing. And I actually thought to myself when I saw that Blaine was the first super sticker or super chat. And thank you very much, Blaine. I was wondering whether Houdini was going to be asleep or what he was going to be. Was he doing some work? An unusual time slot, but he snuck in. He found the stream and he does his bit. Yeah, Dino, I love you, man. Thank you very much indeed for your.
Hold on, Blaine is the Harry Kane of giving out memberships, isn't he?
Yeah, the Harry Kane, exact 100%. Blaine is the Kane. I'll call you, Kane Devlin from now on. Big up to you, and also Phil Coys. Big up to you, my man. Thank you so much, buddy. Choo to you as well. Lovely to see you, buddy. I hope I haven't seen you for a while in these here parts. Good to see you, my man. Thank you very much indeed. Guys, I want to ask you, we're miles over the time that I thought we were going to go to today, but I do appreciate your time. Last segment, regarding what are the priorities in the January transfer window, right? We know that we've taken out a payday loan. We know we've got 100 million quid in there. We don't know what it's all for. We know we've got a lot of wiggle room within the PSR and the FFP thing still. So with the liquidity injection, we can hopefully do a bit of business, but January is difficult. I want to ask you guys, over the last few weeks, the narrative around the zeitgeist has pivoted. Like, it used to be left winger is the priority. Now some people are waking up and thinking that Odebear is showing a little bit, and maybe, the fact that the 9 is so poor, like maybe, and there's no real sign of improvement in that regard. Should the 9 be the market we look into? But the 9 is a dry as hell market. In the summer, the 9 market was as loose and as liquid as I've ever seen. But all the good, like the low hanging fruit or the mid hanging fruit has gone. There's not a lot of 9s out there that are really going to move the needle, in my opinion. I want to hear yours. The left wing surely is still a massive consideration. A lot of people are now pointing to the midfield, thinking that we need a different profile. We've spoken about this ad nauseum. And other people still think that a fullback or a left-sided centre-back cover is important. Where do you currently sit? Looking at where we're at in the table, looking at what we're seeing with the team, how do you guys feel if we had, I don't know, 100 million quid to spend in January, just number out of thin air? What is the priority, and what is your kind of the profile of the player within the position that you'd like to see us go after? Lubo, I'll start with you, my man.
Oh, I'd spend most of it on Semenya, to be honest, if you could get him out of Bournemouth. For sure.
Semenyo still, yeah. You still think Semenyo's the guy?
For me, I think Mawani will come good as a 9. So most of your money would go on Semenya. You wouldn't have enough for a secondary player. I mean, in my perfect world, which I'm sure is never ever going to happen, unfortunately, with what he's been saying, I'd bring Harry home. Can you imagine Harry, Semenya, and Archie in the 8s? That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant.
Bye, Bayern. We know it's mid-season and you're winning the league and in the Champions League. Can we have Harry? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That's actually hilarious. Just for what it's worth, well, whenever I bring that particular point up in our little Spurs 5 WhatsApp chat, and Lubo, I think, was on his way. He was driving to Merseyside yesterday. I said the market is so dry for a 9, and Lubo's one response was, "It isn't in Munich. It isn't in Munich."
Right. Well, no, where would you go for a 9? You said, didn't you? And
where will I go for a 9? And you said Munich.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, but he's not coming, Lubo. So
he's not coming. Semenyo, go and get Semenyo. Let the Lewis kids show some real ambition now, and go and get Semenyo. Go and get Semenyo. All of a sudden, not only have you got a winger, you've got a goal scorer.
Yeah, but are Bournemouth sitting second, mate? Are they really going to let go of their prized asset when they're second? They legit have a chance of getting top 5 this year. Legit. Okay, I'm not. It might be a long stretch. I agree with Saba that by the end of the season, the cream will have risen, or what the cream will have risen. But for now, if Bournemouth are still sitting second or third, mate, by January, there's no chance that Bill Foley no chance.
But you've got a realistic chance of going to Lyon and getting Fofana, because they're in shocking debt at the moment, aren't they?
They are. But
it's such a mess.
Story that their owner John Textor is now about to go and buy Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's madness.
I would say, listen, I would say that you covered it off in your question, right? I think the 3 areas you said are the 3 areas we need. I think we need a ball playing midfielder. I think we need a striker, and I think we need a winger. I just think it's about putting those in priority and realizing that it's a January window, not a summer. Right. If it's a summer window, there is no let up from me. There is no let up at all that I go, oh, I'll take one or the other. No, fuck off. It's a summer window. Get me all of them. In a January window, not going to happen. I think you're right. I think the striker market is a tough one. When we were talking about in our group yesterday, there's not a plethora of goal scorers across the world where you go, God, that player is 100% going to make us better. I would explore the option of Ivan Toney being available. I would explore the option if he's available on a loan. I don't know if he is. I don't know what they would command from his 400 grand a week salary, but as an option, I would look at that. However, I do feel that with Mawani and Solanke, if we can get them both fit, I do feel that there will be enough goals there that problem, could be kicked down the road to the summer, Sean. For me, the left winger is absolutely fundamental. I think it's truly fundamental. The number of different players that Frank has played there, he's clearly not happy. Doesn't feel that any of them are ready. I'd love Semenyo, but I agree with you, Sean. I agree with Lubo that I want him, but I agree with you, Sean. If anyone rings up Bournemouth now and says, hey, we want Semenyo, I think they're going to have to hit the release clause, and we don't know what that is. We don't know if the release clause is, maybe the release clause is, yeah, you can go for this amount of money, but only in the summer. You can go for this amount of money, but it's got to be paid in 2 installments rather than 4. We don't know, right? For me, a Fofana is perfect.
Malik Fofana, yeah.
I like Malik Fofana.
I like him as well. I think it's classy. I think it's really good.
Proper left winger that when he gets the ball, he wants to take his man on. He drifts inside. I would also look at, if we're not going to go for proper out and out wide men, I'm looking at going to Monaco and going, how much do you want for Akliouche? Because that boy is a player. That boy holds the ball up, both footed. That is a top level.
How do you squeeze him in a world when Decky also comes back?
He played on the right, didn't he, last week? He was playing more right to central, wasn't he?
He can play across.
He can play anywhere.
Look, for me, I want an out and out winger first, if we can. I'd love a Fofana.
Would you take Nusa from Leipzig
over what we've got? 100%. Yeah, I like Nusa. He's not the top of my list, but yeah. Listen, I've heard you say this on shows before, Sean. The left winger market is a lot more fruitful than the striker market is right now. And I think what it does is it gets us balance. I think we've got to get balance, and it can't be right. Odegaard, you're there for 2 games. Tell you're there for 2 games. You're there for 2 games. Simmons and Johnson, we need some balance. And if you looked at Everton yesterday, everything they did was down the wings, wasn't it? Everything Everton did was Ndiaye, Grealish, and Ndiaye, Grealish, and Ndiaye, Grealish.
And that Ndiaye, by the way, can play right, left, or centre.
He's a quality
player.
You had that 10, 15-minute spell, didn't you, when they were just punching long balls down the middle. And they were funny. You just reminded me. You mentioned how good Danso was. There was one ball over the top where he had to run back and turn and come away with it. That was just superb because it was a swirling wind, and that was strange because everything was coming down both wings, and all of a sudden they were just looking for Beto down the middle, weren't they? And trying to play him through.
I don't say enough nice things about the club. I've decided I'm going to say Kevin Danso. By the way, what a wonderful bit of business that is.
21 million. Brilliant.
Unbelievable.
21 million pounds.
21 million.
I wouldn't sell him for double that right now.
25 million euros. Fantastic. 21 million pounds.
I really like him. I really like Kevin Danso. His voice doesn't
million, whatever it was. Yeah.
I think, have you heard him talk? When he talks, I always expect he's going to have a foreign accent.
No.
You know what I mean?
Proper geezer.
So he's English.
No, I know, but I know it's just,
Thomas Tuchel, where are you? Come on.
Could he play for England? No, he's Austrian, isn't he?
He's Austrian. He plays for Austria.
He has played for Austria, has he?
Yeah, but I think we're well sorted there. That, if you look at Van der Ven, Romero, Danso, you've got Dragusin to come back. By the way, he will be very good in the Frank system. He will. Yeah, he will be very good. And then you've got Vuskovic and Phillips who are out on loan.
And Kota Takai.
And I don't feel that we need to see any more centre backs anytime soon. But
they're all right-sided, right-footed players though. That's the problem. I don't know which one of them. If Micky van der Ven, let's say you've got everyone's clean bill of health, everybody's back in February, right? Just argument's sake, and Micky van der Ven does his hammy. Who's the natural left-sided player?
Ben
I'm not
Davies.
sure. Okay, but that's the problem then, right? I don't know if you're joking or not because
I am joking. I'm joking.
I don't. Well,
he's the only left-footed centre back apart from Micky. I'll put Archie in there.
There is a need. Do we have too many right-footed centre backs?
Okay, so maybe in the summer you see Davis, dare I say it, Phillips, and one other go, and the left footer's brought in.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. But if you're sitting there looking at the team right now and going, on the right-sided centre-back role, we have Romero, in no particular order, but I'll give you the Romero, then Danso, then Dragusin, then Vuskovic, then Takai. You have 5 right-footed, right-sided centre-backs.
No, but what my point that I'm making is what I don't think we need to see is that in January we go, we signed a top left-footed centre-half. I feel there's other areas of the pitch that we next year. Look, let's be brutally honest. I've watched Phillips a few times for Lubo's second team, Stoke. I've watched Ashley Phillips play for Stoke a few times this season. Good player. I don't think we'll get the game time he ever wants at Spurs. I think someone like Radu Dragusin will probably realise, hang on, I have got Van der Ven, Romero, Danso, Vuskovic coming back. Maybe he moves as well. And surely Ben Davies won't be here next season. So I think that you can afford to let those 3 go and get in a left centre-half so that your 5 centre-backs are Van der Ven, Romero, Danso, Vuskovic, and insert left-footed centre-half.
But in January, we need a left winger priority, right? So if Malik Fofana and Ndiaye, I doubt that Liao's ever going to do it, but someone like him, someone like a Kenan Yildiz, unbelievable, never going to happen. Yeah. Obviously, Semenyo, unlikely. If those top 5 options, even Antonio Nusa, by the way, he's very, very, very appreciated at Leipzig. After that,
you sound like Fabrizio Romano.
We're
it's a player that he's appreciated.
Yes, Tottenham plus many other clubs are looking at Nusa. He is very appreciated for sure.
we don't have a left winger. That's the problem, isn't it? No. We got Solanke, we got Moani. We don't have a left winger. So
Odegaard for me could be in the future, but right now Odegaard should be getting like what we saw yesterday from Berghvall. By the way, Berghvall I think should be getting what he got yesterday. Those players coming on.
Did all right. He did.
I thought he was crap when he came on. I don't think he can hold on to a football, Lubo. But anyway, that's a different conversation we'll have tonight on the Spurs 5. Right? My point is these players, that's what they should be getting. The last 15, 20 minutes. So, get a left winger and let Odegaard learn. Let Odegaard learn from him. That's what we should be doing, right?
Yeah, Odegaard's getting judged like he's a first teamer that should be up there at the Kudus level, but he shouldn't be. He should be the guy that's learning off of someone that's better than him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so maybe that is harsh, but this is what happens when this is what Spurs have left for the season, right? They've left these players, but it's difficult, right? It's difficult. All the while you don't have that balance. Their performances aren't going to be fluid, and that's what I really liked about Everton yesterday. Whatever you want to say about their team, Moisey has gone in and they're balanced. They've got a very balanced team in midfield.
Like Brighton as well. Oh, by the way, would you get Minte?
Yes.
I think he's fucking amazing.
Yes.
I think that guy is so good, and he can play off both sides as well and through the middle. He's class.
I suggested that in the chat, didn't I? I'm pleased to see you took that on board.
I think your answer was Jamie Donnelly should be on
Minte. Interesting stat, guys. Interesting stat. We've got 28 games in total before the transfer window starts. We're exactly halfway there. 14 to go.
Before what transfer window starts?
January transfer window.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I got you.
28 games. With
and
the
we're 14 through.
What we got.
Can I say one last thing before I go on the transfer window? I've really got to go. My front.
Yeah, we're going to run off now. Yeah, we're going to close off.
What I want to see though this window is I want to see us move early. I want to see that we've planned. I don't want to see that we get to the first and then go right. Let's spend the next 3 weeks wondering. I want to see that we go week 1. Because the club will be having conversations now with agents. It won't happen on the 1st of January. Yeah. So let's see. Then
the only problem with that is the fact that if you're looking for players that are currently doing it in European competitions,
sure,
the European competitions don't finish their league phase until the penultimate week of January, and that's just a reality of the situation. And I think at this time last year, in the first iteration of the league phase, I think there was only 2 teams across the top 2 Europa League and the Champions League that had that knew that they were through for sure, and that was Lazio in the Europa League, and it must have been Liverpool, I guess, in the Champions League. Yeah. But anyway, guys, listen, absolutely fantastic show, Lubo, Saba. Thank you so much, guys. Please get over to the Spurs 5. Here is the link. We'll be there tonight at 8 p.m. The 3 of us plus Johnny and Stel. Please make sure you smash the sub, and please get over to my man, where is he? Saba's channel right here, and subscribe to him as well. Sab, what time are you going live today, my man?
I don't know. I've got to go. My front door's going to go. I don't know. Love you all. Take care. Much love. Jamie Donnelly's crap.
What did he say?
Jamie Donnelly's crap. He loves winding you up, doesn't he? Loves winding you up. Listen, Lubo, we'll have that conversation later on, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate you, Saba. Appreciate all of you for hanging around. Please, by the way, guys, we managed to get over 38K. We are at 38,001 subscriber. So I'm sure it will disappear in about 5 minutes. Yeah. I'm sure people will unsubscribe just to wind me up. But we managed to get over 38K.
This is Richalison. We need Harry Kane subscribing here.
We need Harry Kane subscribers. We do indeed. Appreciate you, Lubo. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. Thank you very much to Blaine, to Dino, and to Phil. And I'll see you guys later on at about 6 o'clock for a members phone-in show in all likelihood. Don't hold me to it. Other than that, I wish you all a wonderful Monday. And as always,
see you at 8.
Cheers, Lubo.
Bye. Cheers.